However, sometimes you don't do what you were supposed to do during the week. And the goal, it is to admit, even in front of the group, that you fucked up, that you didn't do what you wanted to do. And why? You also try to be truthful and say, well, you don't say like generic shit like, I was tired, I had no time. You can even say, I didn't fancy doing it. And that's okay. If you say in front of everybody or yourself, you say, I didn't fancy doing it, that's fine. Hello again, welcome to Sharing Mileage. Today we are going to talk about procrastination and doing things that maybe you don't really want to do during the day. Probably because I didn't really fancy doing much work today. I'm going to be honest with you, Billy. Sometimes you get these days, and what's kind of funny that made me think that this is an important topic to talk about, because I remember when I was working at a job, like every person working at a job, that you have those days where you wake up and you're just like, I don't want to go to work. I hate this. I don't want to be like doing this. What am I doing with my life? I just don't want to do anything today. I just want to lie down or stay in bed and do nothing, right? And no matter how motivated you are, or people say you have strong why, I think even people with like a very strong why, they sometimes have those days where just like, I can't do it. Yeah, it's like, I can't be bothered. Just simply, I can't be bothered, right? And the funny part is that when you're working at like a regular employment, at a job, you think when you start your own business, you'll never have days like this. Okay, and especially if you do things that you love for a living, like love to do for a living. So for example, if you're an artist, a creative, any kind of person that, people consider, they love what they do, their job is whatever they have passion for, you think you'll never ever get bored, burned out, or simply tired, or not really excited to do something. And that's not true. I love making videos, and I love business. I love building something that we are building right now. But the funny part is that there are days where it's just like, I can't be arsed. I can't. Just like I just cannot think of any reason why I would want to do something. And then the major thing that you have to do is kind of force it.
Yeah.
So basically, today's episode would be mainly about how do you overcome it, because it's not just about the procrastinating and pushing it further and further, but actually like overcoming the resistance that you're feeling, and it's acknowledging it, that it exists, and then making realizing that this is normal.
Yeah.
And then finding your own way how to go around it. I had to basically force myself to do things. And what I found is usually after you force yourself, and then you get to do whatever you didn't want to, after a certain amount of time, you feel much better and you start to pick up the momentum, and then you actually glad that you did what you were supposed to do. It's not always like that, but quite often that's the case. Do you want to follow up on that? Like maybe there's something that you want to kind of add to it?
Well, in terms of finding motivation, I think a lot of people forget that it's normal for anyone, no matter your position, to lack motivation and to sometimes feel like you can't do what you have to do, because there's no other animal in the world that lives in the way we do. they don't have jobs, employment, they don't have these set hours of the day that they have to do these specific things every day, that kind of routine. And I think that as people, we need to understand that because we do live unnatural lives, sometimes you're going to have a bit of pushback.
Yeah.
And just don't punish yourself for feeling that way, would be my thoughts.
I mean, look, it's kind of weird because you would think I'm gonna be my own boss, so I'm gonna do whatever I want whenever I want it, and it's gonna be so cool. It's gonna be like I'm gonna nail it down. I'm gonna know exactly my schedule and everything. But it's actually harder than it seems to make it all work together. Like we were talking previously about organization and processes and making it happen and building it up as you go. And it's tricky to be your own boss, like to control yourself and force yourself, or not just force, I mean just motivate yourself. Like if you have a boss, somebody who's actually giving you tasks, and you have to, finish them because that's your job, and you will definitely you'll definitely face consequences if you don't. Then when you don't have that hanging above you, because when you're your own boss, it's you gotta kind of artificially create this for yourself. So you have to be both the boss and the employee at the same time. So you have to be a really good boss for yourself, be kind to yourself, and also kind of have expectations toward yourself as a boss, but then be an employee that is a good employee who does their job and also is on time and comes to work motivated. And it's not easy for sure. And so partly the main thing for me today was to talk about the fact that you kind of sometimes have to do things that you don't like to do, and there's no other way. The good part is that if you find yourself in a position where you have the money and you don't really have the pressure of survival, hanging there as well, so if you don't do something, you're not immediately going to feel the effects of not being able to provide for yourself or family. That is a little bit a better situation, because you can just take a break, recharge, rethink things, give it space, and then come back to work. But if you don't have that comfortable cushion, you kind of have to do it. And I remember, like maybe a year ago, there were lots of personal issues that I had to go through, personally, like with my relationship and with other things, and you just gotta get up and go to work. Get up and go to work. That's it.
Yeah.
And nobody's gonna look at you and be like, feel sorry for you, and then allow you to not do something. Like especially a client, if the client is expecting something or you committed to something to someone, nobody's gonna look at you and be like feeling sorry, for those moments. So that's kind of like that. And as an example would be working with you, because probably if you haven't worked with me, I would take a day off today. I would be like, you know what, I don't really feel that today. Yeah. It's not my thing. I'm just gonna and there's two options. I would be even considering that as a good thing, and I'll be like, I needed that break. Or I could also think of it as that's an easy way out. I can always do that. I can always not work. I can always just take a break. I can always just slow down, whatever.
It's a slippery slope.
It is. Yeah, it's like with everything, like addictions or anything really. You can apply that. So, for example, it's almost like deliberately creating a commitment, accountability, or something like that by working together, because I don't want to let you down.
Yeah.
Maybe I would let myself down, but I'm not going to let you down, you know what I mean? And that's kind of like one of my hacks, actually. I do that too in like with other people, where I'm like, I know I could fuck it up and not, you know, allow myself to do something, but then if there are other people who are relying on me, that actually will keep me productive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because people believe in your word, and if you develop a reputation for someone who keeps their word, then it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy that you say you're going to do something. And it, you know, the funny part is that a lot of people don't talk about this, or they just don't say the truth. Like they think, oh, I'm so productive every day, I'm waking up at this time and I'm doing this workout and doing that, and I'm so successful. Especially in the entrepreneurial world, there's a lot of like posing for like hustle porn, you know. So for example, I woke up at 5 today, and I had to, because that's the kind of schedule we put with my girlfriend. I fucking hated it. To be honest with you, I like waking up early. I changed slightly my schedule, and my body clock works a little bit different, so I do wake up early. But you know, 6 is early, 5 is ridiculous. But you know, there are people who would be like super proud and saying that, you know, they are happy for not having enough sleep, not getting enough sleep, or being all this hustle mode and everything. I can say to that, just simply they make a mistake, because when they have that difficult day, they might then feel like a cheat when they actually decide, you know, stay in bed for longer. Like, you know, like on a Saturday or Sunday, they would stay in bed and then still present themselves online as this hustler who is waking up every single day, 7 days a week at 5, which is not true. And then here's where you become this impostor, right? So yeah, it's kind of interesting idea that you don't have to be like perfect, and it's okay to admit that you didn't want to do something. Like the same happens with procrastination. So I'm actually running an accountability group every Sunday at 9 in the morning. There's only like few people, and we meet and we talk through the week, what we did, and then we set goals for ourselves to achieve. Very small goals sometimes, because there's only sometimes little steps that you can take during the week, but you keep each other accountable, right? However, sometimes you don't do what you were supposed to do during the week, and the goal, it is to admit, even in front of the group, that you fucked up, that you didn't do what you wanted to do. And why? You also try to be truthful and say, well, you don't say like generic shit like, you know, I was tired, I had no time. You can even say, I didn't fancy doing it. And that's okay. If you say in front of everybody or yourself, you say, I didn't fancy doing it, that's fine. But there are also other reasons why you couldn't do something, right? And I think to me it's mainly about the truth. So if you admit that you had a weakness, you didn't do something, that's okay. that applies to everything: work, diet, like addictions. Like from time to time, I have a cigarette, and I'm like, yeah, well, I had a cigarette. It's okay. I don't have to hide it. It's not a big deal. I don't have to pretend to everyone that I'm not perfect. So technically, this episode is about procrastination, but in reality, what it is just kind of being comfortable with not being perfect, not doing something, and at the same time, when you do feel that you're actually not accomplishing as much as you want, or that you reach the bottom, that you think it's the bottom, then you kind of need to force it and push through, and then do something, like some kind of work, some kind of productive work. So I don't know if that kind of gives you some sort of conclusion. What would you say after this? Because I'm trying to wrap it up into something that would be valuable in terms of a lesson, something to take from, or maybe there's some kind of thoughts that you come to.
I guess one thing that would come to mind for me is that sometimes we need to accept that perfection is at its core an unattainable goal.
That's true.
It's about finding what your personal greatness is, about pushing yourself as far as you can go within reason, and essentially being proud of that, rather than constantly thinking, well, what could I do if I hit perfection? Because it can't happen. You have to make a million decisions a day, and it's physically impossible to get all of them right.
Yeah. Because when you have your own thing going on, there's so many tasks that you have to accomplish, so many things that you need to remember, and so many skill sets and like different areas that you have to take care of, that it's kind of difficult. And for example, I have this tendency of thinking only about the negatives and be like, what did I do wrong, instead of what did I do right. Probably there are other people who have similar thing, where they like, instead of counting down things that I did accomplish, you think about all the things that you have not. But coming back to the beginning of the chat, is simply doing something even if you don't feel like it. So as I said, this morning I didn't really feel like working, and I'm sure we're gonna do some work today. We're gonna go through a list of things that need to be done, or things that we want to do, and then we end the day, and hopefully we'll think of it as a very successful shift, and tomorrow will be easier.
Yeah.
Unless tomorrow what happens, I wake up and say, I can't be bothered either. Just like, I don't want to do this. Those are the days. Sometimes you have them, like there are days where you're super excited to come to work, and you just like, oh, I can't believe I get to do this for a living. I cannot wait to shoot this video or meet this person. But there are the days where you just like, it's kind of nothing. Like you feel maybe kind of neutral. That's kind of it. I'm thinking to wrap it up with at 22. Are you very hot?
Yeah, I'm a bit hot.
Yeah, that's the thing. So we'll work out another system. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap the episode now because we're getting close. It's getting hot. I hope there is some kind of conclusion behind this that we just talked. If not, consider that a random rant in the morning by Alan, and hopefully the next one will make more sense. Until next time, and